This is...
Wait, we should establish like what we want to talk about. What are the bullet points we need to hit here?
I got it. Okay, so we tell them that the show is called Do You Want to Make a Podcast? It is a fireside chat between two best friends who are on the hunt to create the perfect podcast. They have a lot of ideas, and they can't decide what they want to talk about.
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
That's it?
That's the synopsis. Then we'll plug the social media.
Do we want to do like social media?
Yeah. So we'll tell them to follow us at Do You Want to Pod, all spelled out. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can also email us at doyouwanttomakeapodcast@gmail.com.
That's it.
That works for me.
Wait, I think we just did it.
We did it. That was my plan all along.
Oh, okay. Bye. Except hello, because now the show's starting.
Yes, it is. We've done it.
We did it. We're in the thing now.
Here we
it's
are.
Time.
Yes. We are joined today by longtime friend Nick Fehlinger. And Nick, I don't know if I've ever told you what we do here on the show. It's, very, very low stakes. We're just, on the quest to create the perfect podcast, just real bite-sized, achievable goals.
Yeah.
Gonna knock it out in one take, I think.
I think so.
And I've been thinking to myself, the big time podcasts, they have celebrities.
Right.
And I thought, who do I know? I know Nick Fehlinger.
Am I a celebrity now?
Star, you're our first celebrity movie star guest, my friend.
I'm honored. I'm flattered. Yeah.
Some serious movie buffs may know Nick from the second Jay and Silent Bob and the third, right? There's three of them?
From Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back and Jay and Silent Bob Reboot.
Got it.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. To prepare for this, I was watching TV with my girlfriend yesterday, and I was like, all right, we got to watch Jay and Silent Bob. My buddy Nick's in it as a wee boy. Mm-hmm. And I started the movie expecting to watch through the whole movie, but then within the first 2 minutes,
yeah,
you're right there. I was like, oh, great. Interview
scene.
prep.
Done.
Check. Knocked it right out. It was awesome.
Who needs anything more than
you
that?
Just turn it off, and I still get the residuals, so we're good.
Good. I'm glad you get the residuals, and if I'm being fully truthful, I could tell the lady wasn't quite digging it. She was watching it, but I was like, okay, we saw my buddy. I'm gonna cross my fingers that if there's more to the film, I'll catch it at a later point. So I will resume it, but the goal was to see you in the year 1999, my friend. What a treat.
Yeah, man, that was... oh my God, was that 21? No, 2000 we shot it, right?
Oh,
20
2000.
years ago.
Okay.
Holy crap.
Yes,
yeah.
they said in the year 1999 in the thing, and it messed me up.
Oh. Because it came out in 2001.
Yep.
These are the important details that people want to know about.
I mean, hey, that's that's always my first question whenever I'm watching a movie. The first question is always, hey, when did this come out? Because that's important. That it really gives
it context.
It truly does, because there are times when I watch a movie and I'm like, you shouldn't say that, and then I'll be like, oh, this movie was made in the 90s. Oh,
you could get away with anything back then.
Yeah, that's fine then. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting point, because there's even I have lines in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back that I would never say today, but 20 years ago when I'm a kid trying to get a job, it's yeah, whatever, just tell me what to say, I'll say it.
Right.
Yeah, I'll say it, I'll do it.
Yeah. But yeah, there's definitely and it's funny because anytime I do something related to it in a context where someone might realize who I am or recognize it, they'll ask me to say one particular line.
Oh, no.
And it's a line that I do not say anymore.
Yeah.
We're not gonna ask you. We're not gonna ask you.
Cool.
You have to, kids. You got to watch the movie so my boy gets the residuals. If
That's
you
right.
want to hear these lines that were funny in a time and now they're not funny anymore.
But yeah, so it's definitely it's an interesting little time capsule. 20 years ago, making that movie.
Yeah, I bet. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
I was, as I was watching it, I was thinking of you, Jim. I was like, oh, Jim would hate to watch me watch this movie because all the parts of it that I would find hysterical, I think Jim would not enjoy.
It would probably enrage me.
It would enrage you. It is so much, not only bad puns, but some serious wordplay, cringy meta humor. There's looks at the camera, and it's funny. I see Kevin Smith doing the cringy smile thing with his shoulders up, and I was like, holy shit, I do that all the time. So I felt a kindred spirit there.
There's a time and a place for everything. But I don't know. I've never seen this movie, but now I have a reason to watch it.
Heck yeah.
For the residual.
To get my boy
to line my pockets.
Yes. And your newest stim check is coming from all of our listeners watching Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah.
Oh man.
There we go.
I love the story of how you got booked for the next Jay and Silent Bob movie, but if it's something you don't want to discuss on mic, we don't have to discuss it. But I love that story.
No, it was fun. So I was so we know each other from back in our old catering days.
The brotherhood of catering in the Big Apple,
slinging d'oeuvres and drinks.
Woo! Those, the rich of New York really need help eating their tiny hot dogs. I gotta say, we can't expect them to eat their own pigs in a blanket.
Right?
They need us to give it to them.
Exactly.
Yes.
And they need us to be dressed in all black while we do it. Otherwise, it just doesn't.
Or
taste
all
as good.
white.
Or all white.
All black or all white. We can never get a blue. There's no pink anywhere. It's what? It's such a strange binary world. Anyway,
it's a very strange thing. So, for some backstory, so like we said, we shot Strikes Back in 2000. So there's no, cell phone, no one has a cell phone or Facebook or anything like that. That's just not a thing that exists. So after we shoot it, I kind of lose touch with everyone. I go down to Savannah, Georgia, for school, and lose touch with my agent that I had at the time. And so then apparently when Clerks 2 came out, they wanted us to come, me and Jake, the other kid from that scene, they wanted us to come back and kind of reprise that scene. But no one could find me because I had fallen off the grid of that whole world. So they actually replaced me with Ethan Suplee in Clerks 2.
Ethan Suplee.
Jake is still in it. Ethan Suplee from My Name is Earl, the brother on My Name is Earl.
Oh yes,
okay. I don't know the show too well, but yeah, I know of it.
But I can put a face to the name now that you put it. Now that you say that, yeah.
Yeah. Or in Mallrats, he's the one who can't figure out the magic eye. He's freaking out about the magic eye in Mallrats. So Jake is still in it, and then they replaced me with Ethan Suplee, who did a great job, and love Ethan Suplee, no hard feelings there. But yeah, so I remember watching that movie come out and being like, what the hell just happened? But I didn't know how to reach out to anyone. So then, cut to a number of years later, we were working the premiere of The Suicide Squad. Where Kevin was attending as kind of resident comic book nerd to put his stamp of approval on the movie, which I don't think he did in the end. But
I was gonna say, did they ignore his lack of approval? Were they not gonna put it out if he didn't say okay?
Yeah, I think it was just to help the marketing. They wanted the host of Comic Book Men to say it was a good movie. But so I'm walking around passing hors d'oeuvres, and I notice that he's there. And so, of course, everyone else who's catering the party is like, dude, you have to go talk to him. You're an idiot if you don't go talk to him. What are you thinking right now? But I'm, you're, first of all, when you're catering, you're not supposed to talk to guests, especially influential guests. And second, this is at the time 15 years ago. So I'm like, he's not going to remember who I am. He's not, this is just going to be a weird, awkward, like, I met you 20 years ago. How's it going? But eventually it's like the end of the party. He's there with his daughter, Harley Quinn, and they kind of looks like they're about to leave. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to shoot my shot. Let's see what happens. So I walk up. They're just like, hey, I'm so sorry to bother you. You probably don't remember me, but 15 years ago I was the kid in Jay and Silent Bob in the gray hoodie who gets thrown up against the wall, and his jaw drops, and he like grabs me by the face and starts like doing that. And he's like, holy shit, you're an adult now. And I was like, yeah, that's what happens when your age doubles. So and then he wound up keeping me in conversation for like 20 minutes, maybe a half an hour even, to the point where all of our catering captains were like getting really pissed off.
Yeah.
And it was, but what am I going to say? Like, hey, Kev, really can't talk right now. I got to go sling these dirts.
Yeah.
So that's not, So, and he's like calling Harley Quinn over, and he's like, you're not going to remember this because you were a baby, but you two were in a scene of a movie together 15 years ago. And like, he was so funny, and he was like talking me up, and it was this whole thing. And eventually he takes out his phone, takes a selfie of the two of us, and then asks me to put my number in his phone. So I did that, and then I don't hear anything for that. And he's saying at the time he was working on Mallrats 2, which never actually wound up happening. He was like, we got to get you into Mallrats 2. We got to get you into Mallrats 2. I was like, yeah, man, that sounds great. Then, like, I don't hear anything, like, nothing happens. 3 months later, I wake up to my phone just, like, exploding. And it turns out that Kevin had posted, like, a top and bottom on the top, the selfie of us at the Suicide Squad premiere, and on the bottom, the, like, screenshot from the movie.
Yeah.
And so at the time was when I was making the decision to leave catering and get into software development. And I was about to do this 3-month-long coding boot camp. But now I had this thing where it's like, oh shit, like, what if Kevin Smith calls me and asks me, like, I can't, like, ditch the coding boot camp in the middle after I spent all that money on it and, like, go do this thing. And finally I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to, I'll take my chances of doing the boot camp. Luckily, nothing happens that summer because Mallrats 2 fell through. Luckily for me, not for Kevin Smith fans or Kevin Smith.
Right.
But, and so then, I become a software engineer. Anyway, then Jay and Silent Reboot is announced. And at this point, because of Kevin Smith's post a couple of years prior, Jake and I have reconnected and become friends on Instagram. Nice. So we're like messaging each other every day, like, hey man, did you hear anything yet? Did you hear anything yet? It's like, no, nothing yet. And then eventually one day he messages me and he's like, yep, just got the word. They want us in New Orleans next week. They need your email address. I was like, yep, all right, here we go. Let's send it up. So this was like a Wednesday, and they wanted us there on Monday. And so we went down to New Orleans and spent like 4 days in New Orleans and shot our scene for the mid-credits of Reboot. And that was an absolute blast. Absolute blast.
That's so fun.
I love that story. It is the perfect podcast. We've done it. Yeah. Yes. Heck yeah.
And even better, the thing that's probably the most kind of rewarding and exciting thing about it is that, so I don't know if, like the way they released it was they went on tour with it.
Did not know that.
Like Kevin and Jay there was like a 2-night Fathom event, and then they went on tour with Kevin and Jay guesting at all of the events to like do Q&As and stuff afterwards. Right. And recently Kevin did a like live stream on it of it, and when he got to that post-credit or mid-credit scene, he said that apparently in like almost every single screening, when me and Jake showed up on screen, the crowd like burst into like applause and freaked out, which is so like
nice,
so humbling and cool. And
yeah, that's unreal.
Yeah, it's wild.
Fuck yeah.
So
Dope. Oh man.
Yes.
So that's a huge honor. That's a huge honor. Cool. I love that.
Awesome. And I love it for you, man. I love that something is, can be soul. I mean, anything can be soul crushing if you let it, but catering can especially be a tough grind. And I just love that something good came out of it, in my opinion, which was you getting this gig.
One good thing.
It only takes one good thing like that. That's fantastic.
To make eons of struggle worth it. It takes one good thing.
Oh, the little hot dogs led up to this.
Yeah, but no, it's true. Yeah, all those donut walls.
But I love a good donut wall. As much as I don't have the best memories of catering, I love a good donut wall.
Yeah, but when we're catering, you're setting up the donut wall, not eating the donut.
It's true. Oh wait, we were supposed to be setting it up? I was I was eating it while y'all were setting it up, I guess. Oopsie doodle.
Now, what is a donut wall?
A donut wall is a large board that's covered in like pegs, and you hang donuts on the pegs, and people grab donuts off pegs on a wall.
It looks great.
It looks really fancy, and because you can't just like put a donut on a plate.
No.
Come on, this is like
no.
What year is it?
There's no class to that.
That would be insane.
You paid so much money for this catered event. They just can't give you donuts. They have to display it on a peg wall.
On a pegboard, yeah. It's the only way to.
That is a perfect.
You need 4 people to spend 20 minutes hanging donuts on pegs and then refreshing them throughout
That's
the night.
the only way to eat donuts in New York. Oh my God. That's only way.
Yeah. Yeah. For those of you who aren't in New York and may not know, we only eat donuts. Tiny, tiny little donuts about that big off of large walls of pegs.
Yes.
Now, these donut pegs, are we talking one donut per peg or multiple donuts per peg?
One donut per peg.
So that gives the catering folks a reason to exist because they need to keep filling up the donut wall.
Now, okay. Now, to receive the donut, am I allowed to go to the board and like essentially make out with it in order to obtain a donut? Like, can I go up to the board and be like,
for sure?
Oh,
I would say it's discouraged, but also guests at catered events can really just do whatever the hell they want.
That's true.
And our job would then to just be to remove the surrounding donuts so that there are, no contaminated donuts on the wall. And you continue on bobbing for peg donuts.
Excellent.
Yeah. I do remember there was one time we were working an event. I think I was bartending at MoMA, and we would have these like square things filled with snacks sitting on the bar. And one time we had like cheese twists. And I remember a guest came up, took a bite out of the cheese twist, went, ugh, and then put it back.
Oh, don't do this.
Yeah.
Don't do that thing.
It was a bad thing. It was not a good thing to do.
No, I mean in our current climate, it's even worse.
Yeah. Real bad.
You would have to set the whole bar on fire at that point.
Yeah.
My God.
Well, there probably wouldn't be the party going on in the first place.
Yeah.
But.
Well, yeah, but still.
Oh man, I wonder if catering folks are going to have to trade in their catering black shirt and pants for hazmat suits once this is all over, because you still can't just eat.
I hope so.
Your donuts need to come from a wall, and your tiny hot dogs need to be handed out to you. So how are we going to do it? Hazmat suits.
Hazmat suits.
And you need all of your classic cocktails to be renamed corny puns based on the theme of the party.
Yes! My favorite part of the job. Yeah. I forget all the names, but I liked them.
I can't remember a single one.
Those are some wild nights.
What? Somehow that makes even more sense. I was like, I need an example, and then I was like, no, that's just that's so right that you can't even remember one. They were so bad.
We can.
I mean, this isn't a real one. This is just one that I could think of as an example to give you an idea of what it was like. It's like if it's a wedding, right? And like the bride's name is Dana, it'd be like, oh, would you care for a Dana-akery?
Boo. Yeah, that's That's horrid.
Yeah.
I knew it was coming before you even said it, Nick, but it still made my spine like
just
tingle.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I really, what I love to continue off that thought is how these are the social elite taking these drinks, right? So like I saw the drinks get mixed in a giant vat. These are not individually, made cocktails. This is catering. We do what we can. So I see these really high profile people take the drink and pretend to like it a lot. They're like, "Oh, that's good. That's really good." And I'm sitting there looking at them with a smile of like, you and I both know this thing sucks.
I just dumped 4 bottles of vodka into a pickle bucket 20 minutes ago, and that's what you're drinking.
That is what they drink.
Just so you know.
It was, to be fair, kids, there were no pickles in this bucket. That's just what we call them. But yes, they were like,
yeah.
And it's this wonderful dichotomy. I don't know if I'm breaking any contracts by talking about how the sausage gets made here, but like, these are high profile people, right? What are they going to fucking do?
Yeah.
These are high profile people eating food that was prepared in loading docks from it's rewarmed food. This is like, but the funny thing is we the workers saw it and we would eat it because we were hungry. But if you weren't hungry, you probably would just pass it by.
So to be clear, the companies that we were working for, I probably shouldn't, for legal reasons, name them out loud, but these were like, these weren't like the people that like any normal person would get to like cater a party or something, come to your house and do this. We were working for like really high level, like fancy, expensive, top New York catering companies. So these were very wealthy people eating garage food.
Yeah, like there was,
and they're eating it and they're going, "Oh my god, this is incredible. This is amazing."
This is so
and you just want to
good.
be like, "I reheated this with a sterno in a giant metal box in your garage."
That's very
it's the
fun.
great catering before COVID was the great equalizer, and now it's been outdone by COVID. But prior to that, it's like that's how I saw all my celebrities in New York. Is like after a while, seeing Martha Stewart pop up just doesn't faze you. But at first, I was like, "Oh God, you look really good for having committed crimes. You're like the most well put together criminal I've ever seen in my life."
Yeah, it was. That was definitely an interesting experience for sure. I remember there was one party where I did it, I think 2 years in a row, and the like band at the party, like the musical entertainment was Harry Connick Jr.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't a guest; he was like
the entertainment.
birthday party band. He was the entertainment. Yeah, like you're on a different level when you're like, who should we get? Should we get this U2 cover band? No, let's get the actual Harry Connick Jr. to sit up here and play all my faves.
Oh my gosh.
And he's just essentially wallpaper at this point. He's just part of the decor.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
And the year before Harry Connick Jr. was Rod Stewart. Same party.
That's somehow even funnier.
Yeah.
Man.
It's like a level of it's a level of something that I can't even like comprehend. So
it's very strange. It's very strange to be in those situations because you're at like the height of this kind of like elite level of society, which you feel like should be a really cool thing, but you're not a part of it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like you're not really there.
Yeah.
You're watching it. You're seeing firsthand how, the other half lives without ever actually
being
living it.
Yeah, like without actually like being a part of it.
Right. Which is a very odd experience.
And it's funny, like to go along with that is you having worked it for a while, it becomes like it just becomes another day to you. And you know that this event that they walk into and, oh, it's really cool stuff and it looks so amazing. It's all these like rented tables that are like gross and like there's chips out of them. And we just cover them with these really nice tablecloths. And there's like a life metaphor there that like, you think this thing is bright and shiny and great, but if you were to look under the tablecloth,
it's all gilded,
oh
baby.
boy, what would you see? It's all gilded.
We got a cat. We got a cat incident.
Cats.
I love it.
You just got catted.
We did. We got catted the other week on the show talking about the remake of the movie. We've broken our cardinal rule. We were not supposed to discuss cats.
No discussion
ever again, but here we are.
Film Cats allowed.
Okay, but now that's gonna get broken again because oh my god, it was a marvel. Oh my god, that movie.
Thank you, Nicholas.
Was so phenomenal. So here's what I did. Here's how I enjoyed.
Kids, I did not pay Nick. These are his own opinions, but you know how I feel. Please go on, Nick.
So my girlfriend and I snuck a bottle of vodka into the theater.
Yep.
And just got like hammered watching this movie. And it was the funniest. It's the funniest movie I've ever seen.
Yes.
It's
Agree.
The funniest movie I've seen in my
This comes from a
life.
man who was in Kevin Smith films. Cats is the funniest movie he has ever seen.
Oh, and I saw. I was fortunate enough to see the version that was done before they like fixed a few things. I saw like the original cut. There is at one point in the original cut, and I hope someone pirates it somewhere so that other people can see this. But you can see the full exact like shape of Idris Elba's penis very clearly, and it's like, how the hell did you let that make it into the movie? Yeah. It's so weirdly bad. It's a new level of bad. Honestly, it's almost like it's better than The Room. It's like it's this
that's high praise.
Because the room is unbelievably bad and amazing for all those reasons, but it was also bad because it was made for like no money with no recognizable actors, by just a guy with like no backstory. Like, it's a very strange thing. There's a lot of things that contributed to that being bad that all make sense. Cats is one of the most star-studded casts in like the past decade. Funded with millions and millions of studio dollars, written and directed by actual filmmakers, that comes together to just this trash fire of a disaster, and it's one of the most it's one of the most phenomenal things I've ever seen.
Yes,
it's just like a catering event. It's also gilded. If you lift up that cover,
you'll see Idris Elba's penis.
Yeah.
To be fair, I imagine someone who was in the editing room. Well, maybe the person who they wanted it to go through, they were like, the world needs this.
The world deserves
The world needs this. Penis. There will be a time when we're all stuck in home and all we'll want is to see Idris Elba's penis.
Yeah.
I would prefer it to a lot of other things I see on television.
That's true.
Not to get too dark, but
the best thing was, so in the theater it was split almost exactly in half of people who, like my girlfriend and I, were like drunk and just enjoying the hell out of it, and then like children who were just genuinely enjoying it because they were children, and so there would be a moment where something completely ridiculous would happen, and half of us would just burst into laughter, and then immediately feel completely guilty for like ruining these children's like genuinely enjoyable time.
Yeah, similar thing, but not at all. I was in a theater with a few of our friends. We were also under influences, and behind us, it was only us and the people right behind us. Rest was empty theater. There was like 4 people behind us, and halfway through the movie, I think our raucous laughter just made them leave. I think they were trying to seriously enjoy it.
Yeah. I just feel like it was like, there was not a single report So the reviews that came out when that movie came out were some of the funniest movie reviews I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, they were hysterical.
So the idea that you would read that review or hear anything or even just see the trailer and go into that movie trying to actually enjoy it is crazy to me. Like, you kind of deserve to get mocked at that point. You earned it.
Let's read some, shall we?
Oh, yeah.
Please.
I was hoping you'd do that, Jim.
I think there was one by, who was the best one I read? I think it was Gizmodo, maybe? There was an amazing one that...
Yes. So I've gone to Rotten Tomatoes, where I get all my best headlines. The tomato meter is 21% for Cats.
Who are the 21% of people? Who are the 21% of people that are rating?
Well, they're
movie?
giving it a favorable review, which is like a 3 out of 4 or a 2.5 out of 4. Here's the top line from a critic review for Cats that is considered favorable. Whether you think the imagery is beautiful or nightmarish, this is a film that demands to be looked at. Like, that's not like, this movie is good. That's just like, this is a movie that you need to see because
attention must be paid.
Favorable reviews are people who would agree with, like, Joe and I about this is a train wreck that you have to see.
Right. Here's another favorable one. While it's far from being perfect or even perfect, it certainly doesn't warrant the abuse that has been heaped upon it. At the very least, it deserves a chance. So it's like, guys, just give it. Come on, it's Cats. Just give it a chance.
There's my favorite review that came out was from Gizmodo, and the headline is, "I have seen sights no human should see," and then the opening line is, "I have been processing this movie for the last 24 hours, trying to understand anything as terrifying and visceral a train wreck as Cats. You have to see Cats." That sums it up.
Yeah.
You must witness the hubris of director Tom Hooper. You must witness the hubris of Hollywood, the hubris of these performers. You have to sit in that theater and view this fur-festooned thing so that years from now you might heroically say that you were there. You saw it in its infancy before it became a cult oddity like another bizarre and inept but thoroughly watchable feline-centric film, House.
It's just baffling, and yet it must be seen. It's bad, but you've got to experience it. It's so true.
This brings two. I have two thoughts. One, to Nick's point, there should have been T-shirts given out if you saw Cats in theaters that you survived the feline frenzy. And two is that I think these reviews, the favorable reviews from Cats, you should be obligated to disclose whether or not you are a cat owner before you write a good review of Cats. Because I want to see if the bias affects anyone's review. Like, if you already like cats in general, or maybe the opposite is true. If you love the animal, you can't stand to watch the movie. I'm just curious if that has any effect.
All right,
I am a cat owner, and I am a cat enthusiast, and I love the movie.
That's it.
It's fantastic.
All right, I got to read one more.
The data is irrefutable. Go ahead, Jim.
I got to read one more. Another favorable review. I spent most of Cats with my hands over my mouth, going, "What is happening?" And then to be fair, ... I had a ton of fun with this.
Great.
All right. Favorite moment from Cats. Go.
Easily, Idris Elba having wizard powers as McCavity, and his spell to teleport is shouting his own name with a plume of smoke. I will give an example. He goes, "McCavity!" And that's exactly how he says it.
You know what that reminds me of is, do you watch the new TV show version of What We Do in the Shadows? If you haven't seen it, you have to see it. It's the first season was good. The second season has been phenomenal. But Matt Berry, whenever he turns into a bat, first he yells the word bat. It's like, "Bat!" And then he flies off. And it's hilarious. Yes! But like, genuinely funny.
What's your favorite, Nick?
My favorite moment I think the point of the movie where I was fully satisfied by, because I went into the theater to see something horrible, and the moment when I was like, oh, you've exceeded all of my expectations, was when Rebel Wilson unzipped and took off her skin and fur to reveal a costume underneath her skin and fur, and then started eating cockroaches with baby faces.
Yes, the cockroaches and the mice were wildly unsettling.
Yeah.
I did not like them. I did not. I'm like, I didn't ask for this. I asked for cats. Don't give me non-cats.
Yes. Jim, what was your favorite moment? I know it's hard to pick one.
I mean, Jason Derulo as a cat that fucks was pretty good. I was like, I'm having fun watching this.
For a movie that was designed to be kid and family friendly, that was one of the most weirdly sexual movies I have ever seen.
Yep.
Agreed.
Yep.
Honorable mention goes to Dame Judi Dench's direct camera address to close out the film.
To tell
as if it wasn't enough. She's like, and now I'm going to look directly into your souls because I'm motherfucking Judi Dench. I'm going to tell you the difference between cats and dogs.
Yeah, Ian McKellen was also incredible.
Oh, Ian McKellen was incredible. Like, he shows up, he's
best part of the movie.
He crushes it, and then he leaves, and it's like, oh man, if the whole thing had been that.
Yeah. Oh man, my favorite thing right now is that this conversation started with the comment that you're not allowed to talk about cats on this podcast.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that maybe, Jim, we were too rash in putting up this no-fly zone.
Well,
or the no-fur zone, or whatever you want to call it.
I think that you should maybe just retool the podcast entirely to become every episode just a rehashing of the movie.
Well,
cast.
so I mean, there is so have you guys ever heard of the podcast The Worst Idea of All Time?
No, I haven't.
So shout out to The Worst Idea of All Time. The premise of The Worst Idea of All Time was they're going to watch one of the worst movies ever made every week for a year. And they do a podcast where they talk about it every week and how much pain they're in. So I know they've done Sex in the City 2. They've done Grown Ups 2. They're also part of one of my favorite annual podcasts, Till Death Do Us Blart, where they have sworn to watch with the McElroy brothers to watch Paul Blart Mall Cop 2 every American Thanksgiving from now until the end of time. So I think Cats is an excellent nomination for
yes.
a Worst Idea of All Time style podcast where we watch Cats.
Just rewatch Cats every week.
Every week from now until the end of time. Week. And there's always going to be something new that you find with the Cats.
Mm-hmm. I have a podcast idea that I really want to put together.
Yes.
It's going to be a 14-part series.
Excellent. That's exactly the correct number of parts.
So the reason it's a 14-part series, and I'm sure you can already guess, is that every week I would watch a different entry in the Air Bud series and discuss...
There are 14 Air Bud movies?
Yeah. So there's like 4 or 5 like Air Buds, and then it goes into Air Buddies where it's like puppies and stuff. And then and then the puppies they just go completely off the wall, and then there's like Space Buddies where all the puppies go to space.
Oh!
And it's I really want to do a 14-part series about the Air Bud franchise.
Yes. Okay, here are a series of Air Bud movies. Air Bud, Golden Receiver, Air Bud, World Pup.
Oh, these titles.
Air Bud, 7th Inning Fetch. Mm-hmm. Air Bud Spikes Back. Now we're at Air Buddies. We get Air Buddies, Snow Buddies, Space Buddies, Santa Buddies, Spooky Buddies, Treasure Buddies, Super Buddies. This is an excellent podcast idea. 10 out of 10, A+. These movies look horrid.
Oh yeah, I really want to do it.
And hey,
I need a
I
co-host.
told you it would
wait,
happen
looks
today.
like they're Disney films, so they're probably on the great new streaming service Disney Plus. So, Disney, Walt, somebody call Walt, get his head out of the freezer.
Well, we know your head is frozen somewhere.
Yeah.
Probably still functioning.
So get his head out of the
Maybe
freezer.
I'll get him to be the co-host.
Yeah, perfect.
Yes.
The disembodied
Nick Fehlinger
frozen
with-
head of Walt Disney.
You're like, all right, Walt, hit us up with all your analysis on Air Bud. What did you think about Air
How
Bud?
do you feel about the legacy of your name, knowing that it is plastered across the Air Bud franchise?
The Air Bud
imagine-
franchise.
Well, since his head is most likely in some sort of sealed jar, Nick, you and he can hang out while social distancing. Imagine you two watching it, and he's just like, Nick, turn me away. And you just got to spin the jar away at certain points so he doesn't have to look at it.
He would be like, I'm a Nazi sympathizer, and this is worse.
Right?
That's what he would say.
Right on.
Everyone,
I don't know all the details
never,
of that, but I'm sure you can Google it.
Never forget that Walt Disney was a Nazi sympathizer.
Is that going to be part of your series?
That's going to be part of my series, yeah.
The whole series, you think it's about Air Bud, but then it comes off, you top it off with a history lesson.
It's actually about how Walt Disney was a Nazi sympathizer. Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
Today we'll be discussing a movie about puppies who go to space. This movie was made by a company whose founder was a Nazi sympathizer.
Just offhandedly mentioned.
Yeah.
All right. We are nearing Comedy Gold. We're also nearing the end of our time.
I don't think you guys understand how in it I am about this Air Bud movies and the fact that my whole world has exploded by the fact that there are 14 Air Bud movies.
That's 14 too many.
That is 14. Let's be generous and say
love the first
13 and a half too many.
Okay. Yeah.
Give me, because Air Bud, the premise of Air Bud is good for like a single episode of like, hey Arnold. Like,
yeah.
Arnold teaches the dog how to play basketball.
When he leaves out that yogurt for that dog, if that doesn't crush your heart, there is no heart in your body.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Brought to you by Danimals, the yogurt for animals. I want to thank Nick Fehlinger for gracing us with his stories and
yes, great stories.
wonderfulness. We will link to your social medias in the show notes, my friend. I look forward to. I mean, shit. When you make this podcast, come on, and we'll tease it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll make it happen.
Absolutely.
I can't wait.
It's gonna be good.
Make sure you FaceTime your moms, kids. They're wondering how you're doing in this time. If you're not living in their basement already, make sure you check in.
Yeah.
And
the truth.
Important message. And Walt Disney was a Nazi sympathizer.
Don't forget it.
Just, you got to live with your choices, kids. Bye, Mom.
Bye, Mom.
Bye.